Um, there you go. All right, man. How you been?
Yeah, wow, it seems like a lifetime ago, you know? So much has happened in between.
I know. Well, God, you went like on a tour of where you rode your bike across Europe. Where did you go? Right after
No,
the
I'm here
AT.
now. I'm in Spain. I cycled across France and Spain to get
Yeah.
to the east coast of Spain. So that's where I am now. So yeah, I did this 1,000 miles on the bike. Uh,
Now,
yeah,
does that have anything to do with? I think I remember a conversation with you. You had a friend in Spain.
yeah, yeah. Someone who I
Okay.
just met called Tao,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I listened to some of her words of encouragement. That was cool. Like on the trail
yeah.
with.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I remember sharing that with you. It was good to have that. I think you said you might use that voice memo feature.
I did.
Uh, yeah, and did it work like in your
Well,
you
yeah.
got a lot
I
of
mean, I didn't get the FKT, but
no,
yeah,
but I mean I didn't mean did it work in that sense. I kind of meant did it
I know, man.
work in
I'm
the
just,
sense that that's 16 hours on the trail and you're in your own head sometimes. You want to like listen to a message from a loved one.
yeah, it did. Like for me, I do so much better when I'm just focused, like on the task at hand.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me. Like I was quite amazed with, and we'll get into all this. Like I was quite amazed with all your ability to like listen to phone messages and do all these things, like and just like constantly doing things. And for me, I'm just like I can only do one thing at a time, and that's just like trying not to die on the rocks of the White Mountains.
Oh yeah, you came south. I mean, it's wow. I mean, I really think it's a lot tougher up north,
Yeah,
than down south.
yeah, yeah.
And let me just turn off this aircon here because I think it'll register
Okay.
uh in the thing here. All right, it's off. Um, yeah, no, that's thanks. That's a nice compliment to be able to multitask while not tripping over and eating a bunch of dirt.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
let
yeah,
me
that was the voice memos. Yeah.
let me back up. So, okay. So when was your first attempt on the Appalachian Trail?
Well, my first time on the Appalachian Trail was with actually Carol Sabe, So that
Right.
was 2018. I spent one third of the amount of time on the trail with him. So I spent 15 or 16 days of his 41-day attempt.
And that's kind of what inspired you to get to go out to the record yourself, correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. And then my first attempt was the year later, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I couldn't get to the US in 2020. At least I didn't believe I could because of COVID. So I set the FKT on Britain's longest national trail,
Right.
the Southwest Coast Pass. So that was like about 100 kilometers a day for 10 days. 60.
Yeah.
It was pretty strong. 63 miles a day for 10
Yeah.
days
It's good.
with elevation. And then 2021, I had my second attempt on the AT.
Well,
Uh,
hold on. How did the first attempt go? Because I'm curious. Because I'm
the first
obviously in my
two
first attempt, so I'm
The
curious
first,
about
no,
your
I mean, I
experience.
was I was embarrassed actually about my first attempt.
Yeah.
Uh, it lasted, I think, till Hot Springs. It ended in Hot Springs.
How many days was that? Like a week?
Six, six
Oh, okay.
days. Yeah. And then my second attempt in 2021 pretty much ended just outside of Hot Springs.
Okay.
So I felt this, I mean, yeah, you didn't even ask, like, but I'll say anyway, kind of, I did feel ashamed that, I'd come, I spent all this time, all these years
So
training
much.
and
Yeah.
2021, like 3 years later, I make it, like don't
Yeah.
make it anywhere. And then, so yeah, that was my first and second attempts. They lasted 6 days each.
Yeah, man. But look at you. You kept coming back. And I think that speaks
Yeah.
volume.
Yeah, yeah, I came back. I mean, it's unfinished business. And I remember Warren Doyle sending me this message or something saying you've got the monkey off your back when I cruised through Hot Springs, and I was strong and I was ahead of record pace and it
Yeah.
felt good because like over the past couple of years I've everything ended there and I felt really good there. So getting the monkey off my back I think the right terminology. So yeah,
Yeah,
they're
you had Warren Doyle and what's the other guy? Oh,
the Iceman.
not Iceman, but he's I know Iceman's a legend as well, but he's loud. He was on Scott Jurek's team. I can't believe I'm forgetting his Randy.
Oh, what that guy with the big beard?
No, Horton.
Oh, David Horton.
David Horton. That's right, David Horton.
Yeah.
Sorry. I actually used a quote that he used on your Facebook page quite a bit.
Yeah.
I kept it running through my head while I was going through the attempt, and that
Yeah.
was, he said, "You're doing it, boy. Chance of a lifetime." And I would do it in his accent. "You're doing it, boy. Chance of a lifetime." And I kept on saying that to myself as though he was
Yeah.
talking to me
Yeah. Yeah.
during the
I
trip.
mean,
But it really helped because it's like, you're right, damn right, chance of a lifetime.
I met him up in so he lives in Lynchburg.
Yeah,
Is that Virginia? Yeah,
I think
Lynchburg,
he's in
Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah,
Yeah. So I met him there and he came out onto the trail and we sat down for 20 minutes and he bought all these gifts and some things for me. And he said where you are right now, everyone wants to be where you are.
mm,
Chance of a lifetime. Where
yeah,
you are right now, everyone. And I went away with that kind of, everyone wants to be where he said Scott Jurek came south last year. Didn't he want everyone right now wants to be where you are? What are you going to do with that?
damn,
And
that's
these are the
good.
kind of things that just
Yeah,
stayed with me. And, like you say, chance of a lifetime, it's a privilege. What are you going to do? Like the Eminem song kind of thing, so.
yeah, God,
Yeah, he's a good
that's,
guy. But
yeah.
but I feel bad, like you're just kind of asking me questions. I mean, how are you actually? How are you doing after your attempt, and how do you feel, and what's happened with you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I kind of following in your footsteps after one of I think your second attempt is just I just totally trashed my body afterwards, and terrible food, terrible drinking, and now I'm just kind of getting back into, I've had to put another smaller goal in my head of kind of a local run here. It's a road run that I've always wanted to do. It's called the Natchez, which is
Yeah,
444 miles, but there's actually talk right now of some interest in a company or entity potentially seeing if I could go at it again. So I don't know. I'll go back and forth on wanting to get back out there. I definitely it's hard, and it takes a lot.
yeah.
It takes a lot. At least it did
It's
for me.
interesting how you say you trashed your body, you kind of trashed I guess you trashed your mind because alcohol affects the brain. You trashed your mind, and I did that myself as well after this, even after this attempt. I mean, yeah, like second fastest, and you compare like, oh, Kristian got further than me, but Carol got further than both of us. I always said to you at the start, it's not a race against me and you, it's a race against me and Carol, and it's a race against you and Carol because he's the record
Absolutely.
holder. So I came away from this thinking. It's not, I'm so pleased I got further than Hot Springs, but I definitely came away from this as, this is another, like a failure as a stepping stone towards success, but, it wasn't what
Wow.
I set out to do. So I did as well, man. I trashed myself, trashed my body,
Yeah.
trashed my mind, and now I'm coming back.
Yeah. We build ourselves up just to break ourselves down, right?
Yeah,
So let's back up because we're jumping so far ahead of like how we're doing and things like that. And I do want to get into those things and like future plans.
yeah,
But I want to let's just go into your attempt, maybe a little bit of lead up into your attempt, and because I've never got to speak to you about it. I was out there I think on the second or third day with you. I think we did like 45 miles or 46 miles together or something like that.
almost a full day, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah. But and I came across you, of course, on the trail, but that sucked because I wanted to sit there and talk to you for a while. But we were both, ships passing in the night. But
yeah,
yeah, I just haven't had a chance to catch up with you, man. So I didn't get to, I couldn't monitor you anymore. So I wanted to hear like how your trip went, and like because I was hearing little bits of information as I was going along, And it was kind of a cool thing that we were both doing it at the same time.
Mm.
So let's start from like a little bit of how you felt different about the training this go about, and if you felt that it was effective. Um, and then let's just get into the whole thing, because I kind of want to hear, just some highlights and
Yeah.
how it went
Yeah.
for you.
So how did I feel about the training leading up to this year's attempt?
Yeah, was it different from the previous ones? Because I mean, obviously you've got the second fastest time on the AT, man,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Yeah.
damn
Yeah.
impressive.
I mean, yeah, so I did a lot of, I was living in Thailand.
Hmm.
One of the key workouts I did leading up to the Appalachian Trail was do a full week at record pace with Warren Doyle and Iceman.
I remember you telling me about
That,
that.
that gives you confidence. When you do a full week,
Yeah,
I think I mean, it was a big gamble because I asked Meltzer, I mean, not Meltzer, sorry, Carl Meltzer, what, Speed Goat? Yeah, Carl Meltzer.
yeah,
That's his
Meltzer,
name.
you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, Meltzer, yeah. So I asked him, because I knew that he did, I think it was, I don't know if it was 5 days or 7 days, but I knew he did a stretch on the AT before he started, but it was
Hmm.
1 year before he did the attempt. I did this 7 weeks before I
Yeah,
started my attempt. So, I mean, it was a big gamble. It was actually not my idea. It was Warren Doyle's idea. And he'd set me this schedule up. And it was a bit soft to begin with. It was 40 something miles day one, 40 something miles day two, and then he saw I was finishing at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, for a couple of hours of daylight left. And he said, Kristian, this schedule's too soft. If you want to, let's put you on track to what Carol did for a week, you know? So
yeah,
I said, yeah, let's do that. So for me, the key workout was however many miles I covered in a week leading up, but it was a risk because I believe it was 7 days before, sorry, 7 weeks before I started. So I had my training block, which was a 5 month training block.
yeah.
And then, you know, uh, you do a week on the trail at record pace and you're pretty trashed after that. So it was hard to get back into training. And then, so I would say that was good. It gave me a lot of confidence, but physically it also knocks me back a bit as well.
Well, I think that was actually one of the things that thinking back on my training, like that I didn't do enough of. Because I remember when I came out there with you, and I was like, damn, I was like that hurt, and I was like, all the training that I've done, and it's just can't replicate what goes on the AT, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think running on the AT is specifically in the conditions you're going to be hitting is a huge mental booster. And yeah, you're right. You're probably going to take a little bit of toll on your body doing something like that. But man, how much of a mental boost is that to you that you're like, oh, okay, I
Mm.
can do this, and it gets you mentally ready for it as well.
Well,
Um,
that's it. It's confidence. I
it
mean, we
really
we
is.
train to we train physically to mentally increase our confidence. And yeah, like you can't. It doesn't matter if you do a 30-mile day, 40-mile day. When you do 7 days at 50 something miles a day, and you
Hmm.
come out of it okay, uninjured and ready, like yeah, it does really. So yeah, I'd say that was good. Would I do it again? Or I mean, I'm gonna go. Like, would I like on a future attempt, would I take that same route? I don't think so. Because
I
I
don't think
think
you need to. I don't
yeah,
think
no,
you
I
need
mean, I've
to.
done the whole 18
Yeah,
now,
that's
so
right. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, you've been there, done that. But I think being in that train and training that train is a great benefit. Something I didn't
Yeah.
have, something you didn't have either. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
And then
I
the
would
rest of
definitely
the
do more
time I
training.
was in the mountains in Thailand, I was in
Yeah,
mid 30-degree heat, or what you guys are around high 80s,
yeah,
low 90s. And yeah, I was just in the mountains every day. Like, I mean, I hardly did any trail running. It was going up mountains, coming down mountains, going up, coming down, and then eating while I'm training. And my training runs were like 6 hour training runs.
yeah.
So I was out there. And yeah, and so yeah, like anyway, to fill in you to the rest of the training, that's what I was doing.
Okay. So let's get into the first week. How did it go?
It was good. That's where I met you. I remember you coming down on the trail and you're like, oh, it's John Harden. And yeah, it was just good, man. You're a breath of fresh air. It was really nice that day to meet you. I think we had a bit
That
of
was a good
rain.
day.
Was it
What was
raining?
that? I think we had a little sprinkle in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, I remember because I've never hauled for anybody, and I was like, I kept on passing you back the phone. I was like, man, I hope Christian just eventually just holds on to the phone.
You know,
So
I
that's
gotta
what's so
say,
interesting to
like,
me is that you could like constantly like check voicemails. You were listening to these voicemails. It's like, man, that's awesome that he can do that. But maybe I just couldn't do that because of the terrain in Maine and New Hampshire. But even when I
yeah.
got to Massachusetts and stuff, I wasn't doing it. Yeah,
No, I
it
mean,
was good.
I gotta say, I used you as good as I can. It
Yeah, of
sounds
course. Heck yeah,
good.
man. I had people
I
come out.
mean,
I was like, you're muling,
I
buddy.
didn't abuse you. I definitely used you there. Like I was like,
Heck
okay,
yeah.
haul this,
No,
carry that,
no.
carry this, and you did
I
well,
loved it.
man. Like
I loved it.
you were. It's not just me, it's the help and it's the support I got, and you were a part of the second fastest known time by being with me pretty much all day on. Was it day two? Was it? I think all day
Yeah,
to
day two
Winding
or
Stair
three.
Gap.
I forgot.
No, we started at Winding Stair Gap, so maybe it was the start of day three.
I think it
I
was
think.
three. I think
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
I noticed, and one thing I noticed while I was out there, and I think you noticed on me as well, our gait difference. Um,
yeah,
you just have this constant gait of just like boom, boom, small steps, and you're constantly running. Whereas I'm more of a long stride and a fast walk.
yeah,
So it's kind of, I mean, I run as well, but it's that's kind of like my cruising pace,
yeah,
specifically on the uphills. But
yeah,
you're always running, and so I thought I was like, man, I could use a little bit of that. I could do some more of that. And so I thought that
yeah.
was interesting as well.
Well, I think with Carol Sabe, what I learned was that he ran. So his slow run was faster than my fast walk. So I
Right.
pretty much realized that I better be running.
Yeah.
you know, I better be running, and it's but I mean there are times you can hike. Of course in the whites and all the big climbs you're going to be hiking. But if you've got a gentle grade, uh, I mean it's all the accumulation of 2,000 miles, and if you're walking stuff that can be run, um, yeah, I mean that was a really tough part because it's a decision, isn't it? Like you run the flats, you run the downhills, you run the
Mhm.
gentle inclines, but then there's a point where you have to make a decision: am I going to run this or am I going to hike this? So, yeah, that's pretty tough. That's a tough.
Yeah.
That's some tough area. Yeah.
Yeah. So first week, you're at record pace the whole week. I mean, I think you're a few miles ahead, correct? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I think I didn't. It's not much. I think I was about seven. I'm guessing. I should have it written down,
no,
but I was about
I know.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was about 7 miles ahead or something. I mean, it's probably on my Instagram, but yeah,
Were
I
you,
was ahead.
were you struggling or you were feeling pretty good the first week?
No, I mean, every day is a struggle,
Yeah.
but I think it's when I jumped off trail. That's later on, towards after day 20. I think it's day 27. That's when I started to struggle. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it was still fun early on, and yeah.
How was your sleep and how much
Oh, it
sleep
was
are you getting? Can you just tell everybody like your schedule, like what, so people who don't know?
yeah. So the alarm would go off at 3:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
I'd be in a roof tent. I'd pretty much get dressed in the roof tent, except for my shoes. Come down, put my shoes on. Iceman would be there. I'd have a black coffee out of a flask, so it's still warm. I'd drink my breakfast. Had oatmeal.
Yeah.
Put my head torch and go.
Yeah.
I
You
was
were, you
usually
were
on trail
pretty,
by 4 a.m.
you were always pretty efficient and fast. Well, from what I saw in the morning, even in your stops were very
Yeah,
fast and just kept moving. And mine were too. Um, but I
yeah.
didn't get to see you at night. So what was your breakdown at night? How would you come in?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so same kind of thing, get in and try and the first thing I would do is sit down, take my shoes and socks off. Someone would wash my feet. Usually gun section would wash my feet. I'd have a meal ready. I'd be eating it. Then I'd have some kind of protein drink, some
Yeah.
shake. My
Hmm.
feet would dry and washed by then with talcum powder on. Uh, get up, climb the ladder, and go to bed. I mean,
Yeah, that's it. Just, yeah,
that's
just
it.
repeat.
Fix my feet, eat calories, and sleep.
Yeah,
And in bed, it was pretty easy to fall asleep. I just lay on my back and shut my eyes, and
you're out.
well, you know it, you wake up and it's time to do it all again. So
Did you and I'm gonna get a little personal, did you have any problems with, because these are some of the problems that I had. And I've had them before in the past. And I think it's just electrolytes. But did you have any problems with like over peeing at night, waking you up?
oh, every night I had to wake up to go for a pee, which was kind of a bit disturbing.
Yeah.
And Iceman put a bottle in the tent. Yeah, it sounds kind of gross, but you're not going to get out the tent and climb. So there was a bottle in the tent. I peed in the bottle. I mean, that was kind of a lot of pee,
Yeah.
But I would just do that once and then I'd go back to sleep. But it was kind of tough because you have to get up, you have to be on your knees, you don't want
Yeah.
to
It's
pee on the
hard.
bed.
Yeah. And it's really bad when your quads are so sore or torn and you're trying
Yeah.
to do that. And
And
it's
you got to
just
push your
so,
hips forward. It's just like I
yeah.
didn't enjoy that part. So I eventually started to not want to drink so much in the
Mhm.
evenings,
Yep. Which is a
but I can't.
double-edged sword.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's a tough one. It's I don't think I don't. Yeah, I mean, I always had to pee on the nighttime. I can't remember not peeing. So
Yeah, I mean, there was one point where, I mean, I guess I didn't hit my electrolytes right, and it kept. I kid you not, it was like 6 times in one night, and it was miserable. I was like, okay,
oh,
guys,
that's
we got to get
terrible.
this.
That's bad.
And then it
Yeah,
happened the next night, not as bad, and I was like, okay, I got to do better on my salts. Um, I just hit a couple of hot days, and I didn't salt correctly, and so it
yeah,
really affects me. And so,
yeah,
yeah, that was a big thing. Another big thing that I experienced, I wanted to ask you about was pain. I mean,
yeah.
did you experience a lot of pain? Um, because I
Uh,
did at night. Like my knees were just kind of aching. Um,
oh yeah, I remember. Oh, so so for the first 10 days, I believe
mhm,
that was the adjustment phase for me. They talk about through hikers talk about getting trail legs, and an FKT is a whole different beast. So I've spoke to, record holders on the AT. How long was it before you got your FKT legs or whatever you want to call it? And it ranged from like 8 to 12 days, I was told. Carol even said similar thing.
yeah.
And so for those first 10 days, I was adjusting physically and I would lie down and the pain in my joints
Yes.
um
So
was
bad.
actually kind of scary. Like,
Yeah.
like you think, okay, so what am I doing to myself?
Yeah.
And give a little tip to anyone who wants to do that. I actually I started off with a few nights taking some Tylenol PMs by the advice of Horton and Speedgoat. So I
Yep.
took these, but what I found was the pain went away because I would have those with my meal before I got into bed. That it would kick in, I'd fall asleep, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up because the tablet would wear off, and I would feel the pain in my legs,
Yep.
my joints. So then I stopped taking the tablets, and what I did was I lay down, shut my eyes, and I know this sounds, I don't
Embraced it.
know, to take it however you want, right? But I embraced the pain,
Yep.
and it's and then I fell asleep and I didn't wake up at 1 because I'd already accepted the pain, like So that's what I had to do. I had to embrace it. I had
That's
to
it. That's
accept.
interesting, man. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, because it's just very few people can like relate.
Yeah.
And so it's
What was
and
your
I
coping?
didn't do nearly what you did, but my pain. So my breaking point was the pain was pretty bad through the whites. I'm not good on the rocks like Meltzer, so that's why I wanted to be faster than him coming into the
Yeah.
whites. It was like 20 miles ahead of him when I got into, or I forgot the exact mileage. And he's going to argue me because he's saying that I started 3 hours before him. So that's
Yeah.
Meltzer. Um, but anyways, I was a distance ahead of him where I wanted to be. And man, the whites just, if you ever look at pictures of me in the whites, it's just knee bands on both of my knees, just in a lot of pain, like throughout the night. But when I got to Massachusetts, sometime in Massachusetts, I remember I was just going through the worst day because of my quad tear. and I couldn't bend over to use the bathroom, and that was hard.
Yeah.
And so and I get rashes from hay. So some brushed up on my legs, and it was like a fire on my legs. So I was just miserable, man. And I just thought, I'm done with the pain, and I don't care anymore. And it doesn't matter what pain I go through, I'm staying out here. And so
Yeah.
as long as I can keep the speed, I'll stay out here. And I don't care about the pain anymore. And it never I took the knee things off of me, never bothered
Yeah.
me again.
Yeah.
And the pain didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And so that was like, whoa, that was a
Pretty
next level.
profound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome. And then eventually just came too slow, but I felt good about that. And that was like, I guess around 12 or 14 days in.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think also just to note that so my that situation that I had with the pain on the nighttime, just as you're lying there, suddenly you become aware of your body, was just related to going to bed at night. I mean, there was different elements of pain I experienced throughout the trail.
Mhm.
And I guess that's just like one of them, but that was the acceptance. That the one which I found quite tough was, when you're running downhill,
Yes.
because there's a lot of up and down. Uh, I found like my feet, because you naturally your foot kind of slides towards the front of the shoe,
Hmm.
and I think you had ultras,
I
right?
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Olympus, is it?
Yes.
So did you get any, like that kind of like, were your toes
Like
like
a hammer
cramped up?
toe? No, I never got that.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
get it. So that's
That part was pretty good.
yeah.
I will
So
say,
I
I mean, I had my own issues, not with the shoes. The shoes are great.
yeah.
Um, but so you got some like hammer toe, like continuous hitting.
No, no, not like hammer toe. It's hard to explain. So it wasn't hammer toe because I fitted the shoes so I had a good gap in between the inside of the shoe and my longest toe. I think it
Hmm.
was more the fact that just because I'm a person who doesn't wear shoes, I wear like you call them flip-flops, is it?
Hmm.
Sandals or something?
Sandals.
Yeah, in the US. Yeah,
Flip
do you
that
know that
works
thing
too.
that yeah, just it's easy, it's comfortable, but so when your feet are in shoes all day and you're going downhill, like your toes almost kind of you just feel they just can't spread out as nicely as if you're barefoot. So yeah, I felt my toes just, eventually I really just at one time I stopped, took my shoes off, and I've had there's this treatment you get on your foot where they push a stick into your toes, like a in Chinese medicine that
Oh yeah, like not dry needling, or
well,
talking
it
about
doesn't actually penetrate your skin, but so I got on trail one day. I forget the word will come to me later, and I was just really pushing a stick and massaging my feet because my feet were so sore. And then I carried on, but that was a pain. It was hard. I don't think I accepted that one. I just had to put up with it.
No, I did get like huge blisters if it rained
Yeah,
at all. If it rained at all, no rain, I was fine. If it rained at all, my feet, which is weird because that never happens.
yeah,
I never get blisters, but if it rained, I would get blisters. So, and that was just kind of, which is fine. Blisters don't really bother me. I mean, they hurt, but they don't really
yeah,
bother me that much.
yeah,
I kind of just pop them and move on. Um, but it did suck every time it rained because you had to
yeah.
stop and you had to just pop them and drain them, and that takes up time. And as you know, time is.
Did you have any Gore-Tex ultras? Do they do Gore-Tex as well?
Yeah, they. I don't know if they do Gore-Tex. I didn't have any Gore-Tex. I don't. It's pretty impossible, I think. I mean, unless you're wearing long pants to keep the water out, and I don't want to
Yeah.
trap the water in. That's for sure.
No, it's
Um,
just because in the mornings I actually was pretty lucky. I didn't get a lot of rain, but in the mornings there was some grassy areas I had to run through, wet grass with dew, and I
yeah,
would end up with soaking wet feet on a dry
yeah.
day. So I thought for those first 3 hours next time on another attempt, if I had some kind of like Gore-Tex shoe, just for those couple of hours when the dew is on the grass, it would just avoid having soaking wet feet. So I think using Gore-Tex as a tool occasionally. I'm not talking about when it's raining. I agree. You can't, when it rains, everything gets wet. But on the dewy grass, I think the Gore-Tex would be quite the advantage.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember going to maybe because mine was so my sections were so damn rocky. There was no
Yeah,
grass until I got to Massachusetts. But so yeah. Um, all right. So week two. Oh wait.
yeah.
So in your first week, what was kind of like your favorite place?
It's probably easier to remember states than weeks. Because
All
I
right. So
mean,
your first week, which state did you like? Did you appreciate the most?
like it was just great to be on an adventure. I
Yeah, I
think
know what you mean.
the different states have their different challenges, and
Hmm.
one state that sticks out. I wouldn't say I liked it the most, but it was like Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Because the
I've
the
never been
rocks,
there.
yeah, the rocks in Pennsylvania, they're like so sharp, and there's so many of them, and it's flat. It's pretty flat actually. So it's just the consistent rocks on trails, and it's just it's impossible.
Well, that's how I
I
felt
mean,
about the whites, man. I thought it was all rocks. Like it's just there's nothing else. It's just rock. It's
it
boulders.
is. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is. It's rock, it's boulders, but like Pennsylvania's got these really small, sharp,
Oh, okay,
kind
okay.
of like rocks, and you've got to look down at the trail, and I mean, it destroyed me,
Hmm.
but I was actually had good days. I think I did 2 60-mile days back to back through Pennsylvania. So I
I
say
remember
just,
hearing about that
yeah,
on the
yeah.
trail. Like he just did 60 milers back to back. And I was like, damn, he's killing it. He's killing it.
I think that's actually where I came unstuck after that. I think I was pushing, my crew pushed me a little bit too much. We didn't really have a strategy in place. I left it up to those guys. And you know how like Meltzer went for it, and he drove the entire trail. He knew all the road crossings. He pretty much gave his strategy to the crew and said, right, I'm gonna run. I want you guys to do this. Whereas
Mhm.
I had my crew look after me, and I said I'm going to run, and then those guys decided what they were going to do. I didn't really have a strategy. So I think really the strategy is important to go in with a good knowledge of, are you going to sleep on trail? If you are, what are you going to take? Are you going to sleep with the camp? What are you going to do if it gets dark? Are you going to run it? You need to know what you're going to do before you do it. Otherwise you're making on the fly decisions, and that's not really a smart way. For me, I'd say that's my like weak point, is not really going in with a good strategy.
Yeah. See, I felt like I planned a lot for the first like three states and was trying to educate my team, and no one was listening. So I was like, well, what's the point in doing all this work?
Yeah,
You're just going to study it the week of. And so, I mean, I had it all laid out in Excel sheets, the driving directions, click here, and I had it all the atlases and everything in the spots. And um, for my crew members more, I think it was better for him, his time from a time standpoint, to um, just kind of go on the whim, but plan a little bit ahead of the time.
yeah,
And I think that made it a little bit more stressful on him. Uh,
yeah,
but it's what it was.
yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy for the crew, and it's yeah, it's a tough sport. I mean, it's not even a sport. I mean, it's just this. It takes so much to
Yeah,
pull together.
it
You
does.
just got to look at the people who achieved that. Like for example, Carol Sabe, Scott Jurek, Carl Meltzer, Jennifer Davis, Andrew Thompson, David Horton. All of these, even string bean, but that was self-supported, so you can't really, or unsupported, sorry, self-supported,
Right.
one or the other. So yeah, I mean, they you just got to look to these guys, and if they've done it right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, I leaned heavy on Jennifer Farr Davis and looking over her shoulders and how she did it and her grit. She was a big inspiration for me, for
yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
got to meet a husband this year. That was called Drew.
Yeah. I remember you going up
Brew, not Drew,
Brew.
Brew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Going up,
yeah,
you
good
saw
guy.
him play music, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. He was playing some music. I was in the distillery. I had some bourbon. I think I had two. Just sat down. Warren Doyle was there. Just surrounded by legends, and just
Yeah.
enjoying the
That's pretty
music.
cool.
Yeah, it was a nice time. It was.
So second week, are you still on record pace?
I was on record pace until I believe it was day 27.
Wow. And so that was the day before I saw you.
Yeah.
Um, or we crossed paths. So what happened? Or what happened leading up to it? Like, because I never actually don't know the whole story.
Yeah. What, I mean, what did happen? I think it was strategy again. I think I started to get sleep deprived. I started
Mhm.
worrying a lot about my sleep. You know, I was kind of, I was okay on 5 hours. I was having five, six. I mean, one night I'm pretty sure I had an 8 hour night to begin with, but it was so varied, you
Mhm.
know. But when it started getting down to, I think like around the 3 hour, 45 minute mark or whatever, it's hard to remember, but around 4 hours. Anyway, it was a buildup of sleep deprivation. And I just started to get like slower, which was really
Yeah,
frustrating
I know.
because I was running with Carol and I was, I did 16 days at about 35 miles a day. And I always felt, I never felt it was a fast pace. It wasn't fast. But I think it's different when you do 50 something miles a day for 27
Absolutely.
days. So
Yeah.
I started to, I mean, Warren Doyle has debriefed me. He's told me why I didn't get the record this year. And he said, because I was too psychologically attached to sleep. He said, that's it. That's why you just needed to keep on going. He said, it wasn't that you slowed down. It's just that you had the right weather, the right crew. Your body didn't let you down.
Mm.
You just, it was too dependent on sleep. So if you would have just pushed further but there's something about sleep and I don't know if it's a psychological dependence rather than a necessity to survive, you know. So I got where I was letting it get to me and I started getting a little bit soft. I started having naps in the van for 20 minutes here and there, in the daytime. And
Mhm.
as soon as I started doing that, I became dependent. When I saw the van, I knew I wanted to have a nap. And, I never really felt refreshed afterwards. I felt more tired. And I just, one day I was running and I thought, I said to myself, I'm content in life. I don't need to do this. I'm content in life, and I don't know why I'm trying to prove this to myself. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. There's no need for me to do this. I'm happy. I've reached nirvana. I'm my version of the yogi's nirvana. And so I got into the crew, and I had this excuse that, yeah, I saw them, and I said, I was gonna quit, but I'm gonna carry on. And I cried, and I was like, I just want to tell everyone here I was gonna quit, but I'm gonna carry on. Then I carried on. As soon as I carried on, I regretted it. I thought I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. So next time I saw the crew, they had a pacer who joined me called Stephen Grierson, Scott Grierson's son. He raced
Mm.
against David Horton in
Yeah.
1991.
Yeah, I know the
And
story.
yeah, and Stephen came in with me, and it was good to be with someone, and that wasn't enough because we got into the next road crossing. Stephen left, and I went on by myself. And then I went on by myself, and I really convinced myself I just did not want to be there. So I got in to see the crew, took my shoes off, lay down in the bed, and I said, I quit. I'm done. So gun section jumped in the car. We had a Dodge Caravan, and she drove. And as soon as she started driving, I knew I wasn't done because I paused my watch. I was like, okay, I know I'm not done because why did I just pause my watch? Why have I turned the tracker off? And she left. She went to Walmart. She went in there to get something. I think she just wanted to get me away from the trail. Then eventually I said to her, you doing all this driving around, just take me to a hotel. I'm not done. I just need to rest. I need sleep. So we went to a hotel. I had a shave. I had a shower. Went out for a meal, a glass of red wine and a steak. I felt totally smashed after one glass of red wine. Almost couldn't walk out of the restaurant. Got back in the car, went to the hotel, went to bed, got back out on trail the next day. And I just let go of the record at that point. I said, I want to finish and I want to finish strong. Carl Meltzer was talking to me on the phone saying, dude, you're like 4 days ahead of Scott Jurek, northbound record attempt. If you finish, you'll feel so good about yourself. So I carried on and I didn't have the pressure anymore. I just allowed myself 5, 6 hours sleep each night or six, sometimes 7 hours sleep each night and
Yeah,
finished
that's awesome.
44 days. I forget now, 44, 45 days.
Yeah, towards the end of mine, I remember coming in. like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and just being so sleep deprived. And I remember feeling so um, physically drained that I could hardly move or think. It was really hard to like just, it's like I had no energy. I don't know if you ever got to that point at all. So it's one, but it was just, there's a couple days and I would jump in the van and I would do like a 30-minute nap. And it was just like, I'm back. So that kind of worked for me, but eventually it just kept on catching up and catching up. And exactly what I told you is just it's a death march.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, that's the thing. When I devised this kind of calculation. The less sleep you get, the slower you have to go. The slower you go, the more time you're on trail. The more time you're on trail, the less sleep you get. And it's this continuous downward spiral. So that's why I think having a strategy. I mean, all the people who broke the record had Carol Sabay had 8 hours or I'm not counting 7, 8 hours a night sleep. I mean, Carl Meltzer said the same thing. He said he had 8 hours sleep each night is because they were efficient on the trail. They didn't. I mean, I'm sure there were other nights when these guys never had that amount of time. I wasn't there, so I can't say, but I vaguely remember them saying those numbers. So I think sleep's important. But then again, Jen Farr Davis didn't have that kind of sleep, but then she hiked the whole thing. So
I know, and that's. So I don't know. It's still, anyways. What was your final time?
44 days. Or is it 44 day? I should know, shouldn't
It's
I?
okay.
Nah, I've got it here. Here we are. 44 days, 4 hours and 54 minutes.
What was Jurek? Was he 45, 46?
I think he was 46. I was about 2 days ahead of Scott Jurek.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But 2 day to just 2 days and something behind record pace. So, I mean, I don't want to make myself feel good. I was aiming for the record. What Scott Jurek did was he got the record. I didn't get the record. So, I don't really need to compare myself against Scott. He's an amazing athlete and he
Well,
did
yeah,
that.
but I mean, Kristian, you're an amazing athlete too. It's funny how
Yeah.
you
Hold
speak
on one
about
sec, John.
yourself.
One
I
one
mean,
sec.
oh, sorry.
1 second is right.
Sure, sure.
Oh, okay. I'll be there soon. Yeah. I'll bring my key. Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to that restaurant in a bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
I'm gonna meet them there.
And we'll
But
close.
yeah, so I can still chat for like I can still chat. I got time. So yeah, I don't need to don't I think it's bad energy to say I beat Scott Jurek, that kind of stuff. That's bad energy. I mean, for me, I did my best and I got the second fastest time, you
Mhm.
know.
That's yeah,
But
okay. That's understandable. Um, you going back out?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm in arranging
Southtown?
everything. Like I think going south is pretty smart. I mean, I don't have the experience of doing that. I've had 3 northbound attempts.
Hmm.
Um, but I think the thing is, like when you're tired and you're on that kind of terrain, you're on those two. They're like pretty much for me, it was New Hampshire and Maine were really tough states.
Yeah.
And I think starting off those on fresh legs may be an idea. Whereas if you finish on them on tired legs, then you're going to be even more slower. So it's I you know I don't know. I think yeah, at the moment I'm saying that I'm going to go south. I think,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure if it's the right decision. All my experiences going north. I mean, but then Andrew Thompson had 2 northbound attempts and then got the record going south. So
Mm.
I don't really know if there's a right or wrong there. What are your thoughts on north and south?
I have the teachings of Meltzer, so to him it's always harder to go south. Um,
Harder to go south.
yeah, just because the thinking is you do just so much damage to your legs at the beginning that it's hard to get over that recovery that's
Yeah,
needed to continue on. Whereas when
yeah,
you're coming into it, you've already gone through the pain. And you're kind of used to it at that point. But when you just kick off and you're in that much pain, it's kind of hard. And I do see that. But it's questionable to the person. So
Yeah.
uh, who I think it's probably a little bit harder, but I don't know. That's just because I have Meltzer's teaching in me so badly. Like, no, it's definitely hard to go this way. Speaking to
Yeah.
him so much about it. So,
I heard Scott Jurek talking about why, because he went south last year for his,
mhm.
he had the record in 2016, I think it was. Is that right? No, it's 2015. Yeah. He had the record in 2015 and he went north. His book is called North.
Right,
And then he said he knows it makes a lot more sense to go south. So then I think because he went for a southbound attempt last year, and
right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know who, like, I think
Yeah, but
it's
look what
nice to go
happened.
north. Huh?
Look what happened. Look what happened to
Yeah,
him.
he got injured.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got injured.
which is, I mean, but it's just tough terrain. It's the toughest
It's
terrain.
yeah. I think it's nicer to go north because you finish, surrounded by a big 360-degree view if it's good weather.
Yeah,
You're at the top of a mountain. So I think it's aesthetically nicer to go north, and the way all the through hikers go north, and I don't know, there's something, it's traditional. It's like really nice to finish at the top of the mountain. Whereas you kind of go south, you're going against the tradition. And then you're also going to finish at Springer Mountain, which is just a dark place surrounded by trees.
yeah, but
So
it would be close to friends and family for me. So that's why
yeah.
it's also
Oh well, that's the difference. It's then
yeah.
what's your emotional connection,
That's
So that's
right.
something. Yeah.
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 Well, that's exciting, man. So you're gonna head out again. What time of year are you thinking?
I mean, I think my logic, it's no secret, is that if you're on the trail, if you're halfway through the trail on summer solstice, you've
Oh,
got the most amount of daylight hours before, which are
yeah.
the 20 days before, and the most amount of daylight hours after. So for that 41-day period of the entire 365 days a year, those are the days with the most amount of daylight.
So that's what you would
So
hit.
1st of June, in other
Yeah.
words. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any issues with heat at all?
Yeah, I mean, I found the high 80s were kind of, it was hot. I found like high 70s, low 80s was more um like comfortable, and then when it kind of got high 80s and then early 90s, I found it was just hot, you know. You have to drink more and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I think the biggest thing on the trail is rain. I think when it's raining, it's just miserable. And like you said, you're more prone to get um more friction on your body, whether it's your running pack or whether it's your feet. So I was lucky I didn't get a lot of that.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
So then
The heat definitely, I don't do well with it. So that's I'd rather have the nighttime than the day than the exchange for heat. So
yeah.
at least for me. But anyways, man, I don't want to hold you up too much. I just wanted to catch up with you. Um,
Yeah.
and probably not, but maybe I'll see you out there again.
Yeah,
Uh,
but let me ask you some questions. So like, are you
you
gonna
got
go for it again?
I would like to. It's just I'm always amazed by you that you're of course you don't have a kid, um, but it's your ability to go out and do this is inspiring. So it's just as it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. I think
Yeah.
maybe you've got it down to a better science. There's no doubt you do. Um, and it's a lot of time, and so I have a house to cover and things of that nature. So it's hard to get out there and do that. So if I had somebody to help with that, that would be I definitely want to go out there again. I definitely feel specifically after going through what I went through, that I have a really good understanding of what I need to do. And I don't know if you felt the same way after you kind of like, okay, here's what I did wrong. Here's where I can do better. I think we all go through that. But and to have that, you kind of have to go through it to get that knowledge. And so I have it, and I feel pretty confident I feel pretty confident that I can get the record. That's just my personal belief. I wouldn't be out there if I didn't, of course, and I don't think you would be either. But specifically with how I would change my training, and how I would handle the trail, and just the layout a little bit different. I feel I'd like to try it again. I would love to. Will I get the chance to? I don't know. We'll see. So I would be ready in time for, unless we start training right now, for the next summer, but maybe the summer after that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my answer, man. I'd love to go back out there. you
Yeah,
know,
well, so if everything comes together for me, because it's the same thing, I can't afford. I mean, I've got costs which you don't have to incur, like the rental of a vehicle,
yeah,
which it works out at about $7,000. I mean, that's how
yeah,
much I've
yeah,
been paying every year for a vehicle. Everyone's got to buy gas, everyone's got to buy food and stuff, but that just boosts the whole expense of everything. Um, so yeah, if I manage to raise the funds, I've created like I'm creating like this team of people who are going to try and help me raise the funds, and if I can do that, and if I do get the funds and I get back out there, I'd love to see you on the trail.
yeah. No,
And
I will definitely be out there, uh,
yeah,
to help you along, and to do some big sections with you. I'll mule
yeah,
for you any day, brother.
like you made it happen. You really did. That was that was good. We had a good time out there. Like you really, you were part of this, and I want to say thanks.
I
Thanks
wish
for
I
that.
could have been. I wish I could have been more, man. But I have been following your journey, and I'm continuously impressed with what you do. And I know you don't like to hear it, but congratulations, man. You did an awesome job. So,
Yeah,
and you just got to
thank you.
take that compliment, and I don't want to hear anything about it.
All right. I won't say anything. Thanks. Compliment accepted.
Yeah, well, let me know your plans,
Yeah,
and I appreciate your time.
yeah. All right, cool. Let's just stop. Do you wanna
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
want
yeah, we can just say goodbye informally. So yeah, that was nice because I know you're recording as well. So yeah, good catching up with you, and yeah, I'll see you I'm sure I'll see you next year.
yeah, let me know. And if you ever want to come out to the States and train, and specifically in Tennessee, man, I can host you up. So
Yeah. That's good. That's what this is all about. Like if neither of get the record, and you've got a friend, that's a lot more
yeah,
valuable, It really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
man. Well, be good. Enjoy your
All right.
dinner.
All right. You too. See you later,
All
man. Bye bye.
right, take care.